Well, hey, let's break down Sure Been Good. If you watched any of my breakdown videos, lesson videos, I do go really, really deep, and I try to break down the part, some of the theory, how you can apply it live, how you can apply it maybe to even other songs as well. And Sure Been Good by Elevation Worship is a really great example of how I think Elevation and some of the bass players that they have are really driving worship bass forward, because their parts are very unique, interesting. They use effects, delays, reverbs, chorus. The song uses chorus, and for about half the song. So compared to like a lot of the other bass parts that we would listen to, like that some of the big worship artists, they're pretty simple. Gospel is its own kind of world and a league of its own. But when it comes to contemporary worship, most bass parts are super, super simple. Elevation worship, it's not like that exactly. And so this song in particular, I feel like ventures into guitar world. But through this kind of lesson, we're going to go through section by section, break things down. You're going to be able to play ideally the song as it is on the recording. There is a playthrough that Elevation has posted on their resources page where I think Shay, the bass player, plays through the song, and you could kind of watch that as well and take what he does and take kind of what I do with when I'm kind of more closely following the recording, and you can make your own little version. You're really going to want a pretty clean, I think, DI tone. And on this, from the recording and everything, from even the playthrough, it sounds like it's a pretty direct signal. It's pretty raw, pretty clean. And there's chorus on it. And so that's kind of what you want. Right now, this is basically my clean tone. I'm just going into a tuner, a compressor, a chorus pedal, and that's pretty much it. And some more like little, a little bit more compression just inside of Logic. But it's the pretty simple kind of chain. I don't think there's any amp simulation or an amp, at least on the tone here. And so just with the chorus, this is kind of what it sounds like. The bass doesn't come in until the pre-chorus, at least on the recording. On the playthrough, the bass comes in on the first chorus, and it's the second half of the first chorus. But there's a pretty interesting thing, and this is what I'm talking about, where I say that it ventures into guitar world. This first place where the bass comes in it's kind of playing like a guitar part. And let's listen to that first part where the bass comes in. And like I said, they don't necessarily do this in the playthrough, and they may not do it live, but on the recording, they do have this little fun part. So let's listen to it.
Chorus 1.
So that little part there, you're just playing basically thirds, and you're starting from E and G, and then playing a fifth, F and C. It's really just serving like a pad. Like I said, it's almost like a guitar, and they may not have that in the like recording because they may not do that live. But I think if you add maybe even some reverb, potentially even some delay, you can create kind of a nice, maybe even some swells. If you have like a volume knob, you could swell in. You could create kind of a nice little pad, and you're, again, playing just like almost a guitar part in that section. That just plays twice, and then the bass drops out for that first half of the chorus. The bass doesn't come back in until the second half. So let's listen to that, and then we'll talk about what's going on there. basically just whole notes. And the first chorus, they keep the progression very simple. Just 6, 4, 1, 5. A, F. And that last little tag, which plays throughout the song, the A, B, C, E, F, D, C, the bass drops out for the first 4 notes, the first kind of half of that. Kind of grabs your ear, and then the bass makes that entrance on the F. And kind of, again, moving the song forward into verse 2. So that's a pretty interesting, always an interesting kind of technique on how to, as a bass player, you have a lot of power in the band, and so using silence and then bringing the bass back is actually can be a very powerful move. And in this case, it's a very, very nice touch to kind of wrap up the first, you could say, half of the song. Well, maybe not half of the song, but a first third of the song, because that takes you basically through the intro, verse 1, pre-chorus 1, chorus 1. Going into verse 2, this is where we're back in guitar land. You kind of had a little bit of that guitar stuff in pre-chorus 1 now, and then chorus, kind of more regular bass part. And in verse 2, this is where things start getting fun. So let's take a listen to that. So what's going on there? This is that guitar stuff that's happening. And we're starting with a 6th and then playing a 5th. That's kind of the interval. And we're just picking. And one thing in this particular section, when you're playing this part, pick farther away from the pickup, kind of closer to the bridge right here, so that you get a little bit of a chimier, thinner, brighter kind of tone. If you notice the way it sounds like that here, so it gets a little bit warmer, and here it's a little bit brighter, thinner. Playing down here, you're going to get a lot cleaner tone. And so if we talk about the actual part, your finger kind of here is going to basically stay put most of the section. It's kind of this four bar loop, and you're going between E over C and F. And then to kind of wrap that phrase up, and I've talked about this before on my channel, but sometimes mirroring the vocal line on bass or on any instrument really is a really cool, tasteful move as well, because you already know that this particular phrase, melody, fits in the song really well, and so mirroring it kind of just accents it, and that's exactly what happens in this section. So on the 4th bar of this kind of loop, you can say, they're going to accent the melody that's happening there, and those notes, so it's going to be the G, C, B, G, and then you're back to that same little progression. And if I play it slowly, as I watched the playthrough from Shay, he kind of does a little bit different, and I don't know because on the recording they definitely do. I'm 99% sure they do the full line. But on the playthrough, he kind of does something like this. So he kind of skips this. He just goes. And that's his way of playing it, you know, in that playthrough and maybe playing it live. One thing that I would like to highlight specifically here is if you can't play that and do it perfectly like 100% of the time, and there's a chance that you can mess it up, just don't play it. Play just a basic. If you can't do that, because if you do mess it up, then it's really going to stand out. You might even mess up the vocalists, and it's just better to play it safe, play it clean, play it safe. It'll sound better. Everybody will be happier. If you can nail it, great. If you can't, you know, practice it, and then when you can nail it 100% of the time, then you could probably throw it in. The theme kind of continues in pre-chorus 2. The chords just change a little bit. So similar with that first part, you're pedaling that C. And you can either play, so for that first chord, you're going, it's the A minor, and you're playing a third, so A and C. And sometimes I will actually play it with my fourth finger and second finger. Sometimes it helps, it's like easier to transition, just feels more comfortable. And other times I play it with just my third and first. But essentially you're doing the A minor, then that E and C, and then F and C. So it's 6, 3, 4. And the theme continues yet again. In chorus 2, the first half of the chorus, you're kind of, again, serving that guitar type of part. So we'll listen to it, and it goes about 8 bars, and then it goes into, you're back into regular bass mode. Okay, and then that's where your guitar hat off, bass hat on. That first part of the chorus, and I mentioned this earlier, but the chorus 1, very basic, A, F, C, G, 6, 4, 1, 5. This is, in this chorus 2, things change a little bit. So instead of going 1, 6, you're going 1, 7, meaning you're playing an inversion. And in this case, we're playing the 5th here, interval 5th, C and G, and then going to the 7, which is the B and C, or B and G. And that's probably the most difficult, I would say, chord in this song. It just requires a stretch. So if you can't necessarily do that, if your hands are too small, you can potentially play it up here, just 12 frets up. So that is like a little workaround. You could also play it up here. It's just, it gets a little muddy, I think, when you're on that E string. So if you can play it here. And then the other chords we already know from the verse, or from the verse and the pre-chorus: F, F and C, E and C, and this is the new one, the G. So it's the same shape as the F and C, but it's just G and D. So I'll play through that. That chorus, and we'll kind of so you can see, and I'll do a close up. That takes us into the second half of the chorus, and the second half of the chorus is fairly straightforward. It's just eighth notes. First half of that, pretty straightforward. I'm doing it double time. But then there's this little walk down. And instead of going to C, you're going to go to the E, which is the 3. 6, and then 6, 7, 1, 3, 4, 2, 1. And this time the bass plays that hook, if you call it, right, or tag. And this takes us through the part with the chorus on, where you're kind of just serving, you're adding the low end a little bit, but really more guitarish in that particular section through the song. The interesting thing, I think, that I like to talk about, I guess, that I want to highlight in the interlude, is the timing feel changes, even though you're still 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's really important to keep counting on the 1 and making sure you don't lose your sense of where the first beat is. When I first listened to this, if we listen to it just like this.
Interlude.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's the way I wanted to count.
Bridge 1.
But in reality, the 1, it starts on the 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
Interlude.
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's really important not to lose that 1 and not count. At least I don't know if you're gonna have this problem, but this is something that when I first listened to it, I was like, okay, I lost where the 1 was. And then that really matters on the build into the chorus. So if you do lose that, like on the 1, you may end up feeling like you need to build an extra half a bar. But if you start on the 1, right on the D, 1, 2, 3, 4, then you should be good for the rest of that bridge. You're going to want to take the chorus off and engage a pretty heavy kind of overdrive. And this is kind of what mine sounds like. And that's that's the rest of the song is that kind of tone. The chords on that bridge, so there's I think 32 bars of the bridge, and it's basically playing the same thing. D, F, A, and C. And there's just like little variations here and there. In the first 16, so the first 4 would be the D and the F, A, C. Then the same thing again. And then on the next 4, you're playing D, E, F. So that's like a little slight interesting thing, right? First 4 bars, D, F. Then next 4 bars, the first time you play it, it's D, E, F. So that walk up happens. Again, changing it up, making it a little more interesting. 32 bars of the same thing would be pretty boring. It'd be pretty hard to build if you were just playing the same thing. So that's where those things come in. We're going to just kind of play through let's play through the first 8 bars. And the first 8 bars, the bass doesn't play. So, or first 4 bars. So this is the next 4 bars. This is where we do the walk up. No walk up. So to continue the energy and building, because you have 32 bars of building, essentially. 32 bars. And to continue giving energy, I'm going to go up to the higher F on the A string. And we're moving to quarter notes. And then you're just continuing to build. And from there, we're basically moving into, you could say, bridge, what they call bridge 3 in the Q track. In order to keep building, we're doing the D, E, F walk up every single time. And then we're moving to 8th notes. Just to continue building. And this one really is not about where I'm playing or how, but it's about just continuing to build. So the way I think about it is the first 4-8 bars, just very basic whole notes. You have a whole note, you divide it in half, you have 2 half notes. You go to quarter notes, then you do that again, then you go to 8th notes, and so you're just kind of building and doubling the amount of hits you're doing per bar every time. And if you and really building, and also using, like, whether you go low or whether you go to the high F, it has a little bit of a different feel. It has a little bit of a different feel, different energy. And so I alternate between going up to the F or to the low F, and you're building with the drums. And for those next 16 bars, we're doing this walk up every time. Eighth notes. So then on the hits, I like to go really kind of build, especially when the drums are out. You're kind of digging in. So there's a fun little fill there that you can play. On the F, A, C, A, G, back to C. And then to finish that off, so C, C, E, C. That's, again, just adding more energy, building, continuing to get a little busier as the drums are getting busier. And in this section, there's the hits. So the drums are kind of actually taking a little bit of like a pause. They're not 32 bars of building, as I mentioned. So you have to get creative in what you do. And sometimes that not playing does the trick, right? Changes it up. I feel like Elevation, they love to throw in one little thing that's just different through the whole song. Just one thing that is breaks the pattern. And this is that thing in this song. So instead of doing the D, E, F, the last essentially 4 bars building into the chorus, the first bar of that 4 bars, instead of they do F, E, F. And it's subtle. You probably don't even notice it when you're just listening to it casually, but it's cool. And it's one of those things that's like, if you miss that, it's very clear that you aren't in the club. So it's for the people that really kind of, I guess, pay attention. And the musicians, when they do this, they're like looking at each other like, is he gonna get it? Is he gonna get it? Yeah, So F, E, and then it does this little line, which is A, G, A, C, and you're getting up high to that high C to just continue driving energy. And doing that octave or the higher notes is a really good move when you're building into a big chorus. And that's why you've seen, and you probably hear a lot of bass players hitting the octave, like if it's a build. That could be it's a nice kind of move that creates a lot of tension and aggression going into a big chorus. So And so this is where I was saying it's very important to count. The last 2 bars, I go to the way I play it is I go to the low F, and then we're in the chorus. And what I do there is I do the D and the E on the A string, F on the E string, A, G, A, C. And then to walk up into that chorus, it's essentially C, E, G, A. And then the rest of the chorus is really just hanging out on that, basically, A string. Let's kind of listen to it, and we'll talk about some of the fun stuff that happens and some of the fills that you could do. So we're really just, driving, following the chords. So that little trick or fill is actually nice whenever you're moving from the 5 chord to the 6. And I've seen it many times, and I use this all the time. It's a nice go-to fill that kind of works. It just works. So it's just hitting the E, which is basically the three of the scale. And you're doing that walk down every time on the last 8 bars of the chorus, because there's the tag that happens twice. And it's that same walk down as from chorus 2 that we played down here, but it's up here. And then the last tag I like to do, instead of playing on the A string, I like to play it. I think it just adds some extra like energy and power especially when you're playing it live. It's gonna really be a powerful ending. And that's pretty much the song. There is that little interlude and everything that happens at the end. And it really just, the overdrive comes off, and it's the same little tag, just played up here. Then it actually goes to the pre-chorus, so it kind of ends on a pre-chorus. And one interesting thing that I just want to highlight there is you can see it in the playthrough that Shay and Elevation posted. You can see that he's playing right over the neck in the last little pre-chorus.
Ending.
So, and listen to how that sounds if I play it down here. Compared to here. So there's a lot more low end, it's a lot warmer, it's not as aggressive. Playing over this area of the fretboard actually is a nice tool to have for dynamics, and is a completely different tone. So when you're playing in like a quiet section of a song, or if you can use this as a tool in your tool belt for builds. Instead of starting playing here, start here where it's a little more softer, a little more subtle, very bassy, low. So I thought that was pretty cool, and that is always a really good thing, is to know where anywhere from here to here, where is the best place to play for the section, for the song, and you can use that. You don't need a ton of pedals. You just need to know, how to use your instrument, your bass, where to play for what type of tone, and serving the song. And so hopefully this is a pretty good kind of rundown of all the fun stuff that happens in this particular song. If you enjoy this, you can watch the playthrough without kind of me talking. You can also watch Shay's playthrough, and you can watch some of the other videos that I have breaking down other songs. If you enjoy this, let me know in the comments. Would love to continue making this type of content. If you have a song that you want me to break down, throw it in the comments. Let's have a conversation. If you have some feedback for me, you can also drop it in the comments. I love hearing from everyone who's watching, who kind of finds value from these videos, and I will see you in another video.